Hello everybody and welcome back to All Talk Scottish Premiership. This is episode 10. We're getting very close to the end of the season. We'll have one more episode next week until, we're all off for the summer pretty much. Big thank you to everybody who's been listening and watching, and obviously our sponsors at VSN. We're repping the football tops again. I'm actually wearing a Peterborough top, and I'm sure you can tell what Brooklyn is wearing, whether he's like that or not. I'm not a fan, I will say, but we went for the blue and white theme today.
Mate, we're very in sync, mate. I'm not against it, but I mean, Matt's just, to be fair, going straight for this to the game. So we've got to be last home game of the season. Big send off for Barry.
A big send off for Barry. Hopefully it does. So do you think that's the send off then? Do you think that's it?
Aye, I mean, he came out the other day and he said that, to be honest, mate, a ridiculous statement claiming that if he was a foreign manager, he'd get more respect. He's a club legend. He's came in when we needed him, and he's kind of brought a little bit of positive feel back to the club just because as a former player. But I mean, his results and everything, I think it's ridiculous for him to claim that he's hard done by. So I think he'll be gone in the dugout probably kind of pre-season games. Hopefully, Champions League qualifiers seem a while away, but they're just around the corner. So hopefully we can get something in the door soon. But I think it's, as far as home games go, it's his send off, and then we're away to Hibs on Saturday for his final game.
Well, the thing is, that obviously was actually his first home win, his best result really. Well, apart from one at Parkhead, but I mean like his best home result since coming in. Talking about results, I did work it out before we actually started, because I actually worked out on Saturday, and then because Sunday we both had the same predictions, so nothing actually changes. You gained 3 points and I also gained 3 points, but just to run through it quickly, Celtic Hibs, you said 3-1, I said 3-0. It was 3-1 Celtic. Dundee United St Mirren, you said 1 each and I said 2-1, and it was 1-0 to St Mirren. They could get that fifth place European spot. You said 3-1 Hearts. I said 1-1 against Motherwell, and it was 3-0. Kelly, none of us got anything. You said 1 each and I said 2-1 to Dundee. And then St Johnstone, who I just had a wee feeling they weren't going to go down without a fight, and you said 2-1 County, and it was 2-1 St Johnstone, and that's what I said. And then we both said 3-1 Rangers, and as I said, it was Barry Ferguson's first home win, and it was 3-0. So there was a game where you got 2 points and a game where you got 1 point, and there was also a game where I got 2 points and a game where I get 1 point as well. So very, very close going into the last game. Obviously, by the time this goes out, the Wednesday night games will have happened. But we've put them out on our Twitter. Are you feeling confident, Brooklyn? George, think I could overturn it?
Nah, I'm confident. I've done well so far. It'd be a massive slip up, mate. See if I end up going and losing this after being in a commanding lead for kind of probably 2 months now. I'll be a wee bit scun up with it.
So we're on 19. You're on 19 points and I'm on 16, because I never actually counted the Rangers and Aberdeen game, because when I added the rest of them up, I never added that on. So we were on 18 and 15, but now it's obviously 19 and 16. So it'll be an interesting. Obviously, we'll see what happens on Wednesday, and then obviously the weekend as well. It could be all over by the weekend, to be fair. But I think we have went kind of similar. So this week we're just going to kind of talk about the playoff games in the Championship, and then we're going to get into sort of kind of our players of the season, sort of maybe who I think will be good for next year. So we're not going to talk much about the weekend's games. We're just going to do something a bit different, because next week we're probably going to do a bit of a longer episode talking about the final day of the season, because we still don't know who's going down, or like who's going down and who's going to be in the playoff. Who's going to get that fifth place, or third, fourth, or fifth, or sixth? Who's going to get that? And basically, we'll talk about the Scottish Cup final as well. So we're just going to do something a little bit different this week. So what did you make of the playoffs? Obviously, last one you said you were maybe not sure about Partick. And obviously they went and beat Airman, incredible last minute goal for big Brian Graham. But since we're recording this, Livy are 2-0 up on aggregate, just in general right now, because the second leg's on Friday. Do you think that's Partick done?
Mate, do you know, Partick Thistle, they had spells in the game where they looked maybe the better side. I think they could have went 1-0 up in the first half. I think it was, I can't mind the boy's name, but the captain up front. There was one where
Graham,
the winger
Graham.
aye, so the winger takes it right to the byline, he cuts it back, and he kind of Graham tries to do the kind of back heel flick. He's unlucky. It's maybe you could argue he should take it with his left, but there's chances like that they did create, and there was opportunities. So it's one of those you can't really write them off. I know I wrote them off after the game against Ayr, so I'm a wee bit more reluctant. I think it's probably the issue, but I'd like to see Livy go up. I've said to you obviously the last episode, for some reason, for genuine no justification, no reason, Partick Thistle, I'm a wee bit iffy on, so I'd prefer to see Livy do it, and it does seem it's very much in their hands.
I would have liked to have seen Ayr, to be fair. I know I did back Partick, but the reason I say Ayr but is because I would have liked to see actually two teams go up that have not been up for years. Obviously, we worked out Falkirk was 2010 the last time they were up, in Ayr, I don't even think Ayr have even been in the top flight since me and you were obviously that born. Do you know what I mean? That early 2000 odds. So I just would have liked to have seen two different teams who haven't been in the Premiership for like a long, long time. But when I kind of backed Partick, I wanted them to do it. But see, regarding like the teams going down, let's see whether it's Livy or Partick that get to the final. I think Dundee would beat them both. But I think if it's Ross County, I think Ross County are down. That's what I think. I think if Ross County are in that playoff, they're down, I think.
Mate, I don't actually think that's a bad shout. I think that it is weird the way football works, though, just to the way that kind of our brains will say, again, it's still a championship versus a Premiership side at the end of the day, but it's just who's going to have the edge on that day. I do think, going back to Livy, I think probably considering it's going to be Livy at home for the second leg, they're 2-0 up, it's back in the AstroTurf. I think it is them through. But we're now in a situation where we're looking probably right up until the last game of the season. We're not really going to know who they are playing, and then the clubs are going to have that break where they can get to know the game plan. But if it's a final, it's one of those ones. Anything can happen.
I know. I don't know why I think that about Ross County, because see, genuinely, I didn't have Ross County anywhere near it. But I mean, that's what however many games without even a result now. Like they've just kept on losing. But then you could look at it and go, that's got to turn at some point. Like you know what I mean? They're not that bad a team to lose nearly like 10 games in a row. But it will be interesting, obviously, like, looking at the weekend results as well. Like, you've got like St Johnstone and Dundee playing each other. Like that's going to be such an exciting game. That St Johnstone probably are definitely down, but it would be incredible if they could get out of that that like very, very bottom spot. But obviously, Livy coming up. I mean, I've said it many times, but obviously Derek Ferguson, sorry, Derek McInnes actually might be getting the Hearts job, so he's in line with it. But I actually seen somewhere they would like to see Martindale take the Kelly job, but I think he's got it too good at Livy.
I don't think. Do you know? I just don't think. See, for David Martindale, I think any other job is a step down, only in the sense that he's so hands on. Like, he has full control of it, does whatever he wants, but it's all for the benefit of the club. It's never to benefit him. It's always the better for the club. Whereas if he goes to, you'd maybe word it as a more stable environment like a Kelly, I don't think he would enjoy it as much. I
Yeah,
genuinely don't think he would. I don't think he could take a step back and relax and only be a manager. I think it would actually be the only way he would leave would be for a Hearts, maybe a Rangers or a Celtic. Obviously, there was rumours a couple of years ago that Rangers were interested. I think just before Clement came in, he's always linked with a Hearts or an Aberdeen. I think if Martindale's been there that long, I think if he was going to leave, he would have done it by now. And if for whatever reason circumstances change, I think he's going to go to one of the kind of quote unquote bigger four, maybe. Big five, maybe, if you include the Edinburgh teams, the Glasgow teams, and then Aberdeen in there as well.
I think as well, I don't like it. See when managers maybe just get promoted and they like leave the team. Like see like for example, if like Falkirk like, they have been promoted, but John McGlynn got offered like the Hearts job and took it. Like I pure hate that. Like it would be like you've just worked on something for all season to get where you wanted to be, and as soon as you got there, you've just went away. I get you could maybe say, oh, but if a manager wins the league, like if Brendan Rodgers wins the league, but then like a Liverpool come in for him, he would go to Liverpool. But what I mean is, but like he's reached the top he can in this country. So as I was saying, like if Livy do get promoted after getting through, you know, getting second spot, then beating Thistle, and then beating Ross County, Dundee, whoever, then just to like go to like a Killie or something, I think that just ruins it. But he's not going to go there. But I just heard that. Imagine like when McInnes leaves, because it seems to be he is going to Hearts, which will be a good appointment for them, I think.
Aye, I thought I can't remember if we spoke kind of briefly about it last week, but McInnes, he had a kind of rough ride with Aberdeen. Like he kept doing so well, but it meant that every season someone was coming and taking his best player. Whereas he's now going to a project that's getting cash put into it instead of or needing to be a selling club. So it allows him that opportunity now to actually properly build something and not have that worry where he can maybe say, whoever he brings in, he might say, look, we still plan on selling you, but we can keep you for 2 seasons instead of 1, or, 3 instead of 2. That extra season can make a massive difference, especially for, a side like Hearts that have got aspirations to at least get out or at least qualify for the European group stages, and now gives them that kind of platform. And I think McInnes deserves it. I mean, as I say, about 6-7 years at Aberdeen, he leaves there. Again, don't mean to offend anyone, but you probably say it's a step down to move to Kilmarnock, and now he's probably moving back up to where he belongs. I mean, the guy's been linked with the Scotland job, so you can't say that.
I've linked him with every fucking job possible,
Mate,
man.
mate, honestly, right? You've linked him with the national team, fucking Rangers. I'm surprised you haven't linked him to play midfield again.
Yeah, he could do a job, and for some teams, I bet you, but no, it's a good move for him. So it'll be interesting. I genuinely am more interested to see who Killie get, because they've went from a top 6 finish to a bottom 6 finish. So it'll be interesting to see who they get as well, if they get a kind of like. I mean, I'm pretty sure nothing really came out that Neil Lennon's actually staying at Dunfermline. Like, would Neil Lennon be in for a shout with the Killie job, maybe?
Mate, I don't. When was the last time Neil Lennon done a good job? You might instantly just be able to shoot me down here, right? But
I will be able to shoot you down, because in his second last season as management, he won a treble with Celtic.
aye, and when was that?
It was only 5-6 years ago, to be fair.
Right, 5 or 6 years is a long time in football, mate. You had people saying that Mourinho wasn't good enough for Rangers because he's been
I
here,
know.
there, and so 5 or 6 seasons, especially whether you're a professional or a manager, it is a long time for someone that's constantly wants to be involved in football. I mean, to be fair, he set up. Do you know, I'm actually going to contradict myself here because I'm pretty sure he done a good job at Hibs after being at Celtic, or maybe that was before. But
Hibs was after his very, very first spell at Celtic.
right, aye,
He
right, but
still did do a good job at Hibs, to be fair.
you definitely could see Neil Lennon make a Kilmarnock side hard to beat, because that is what he's very good at. Is he gets the defensive side right, and then he'll maybe have 1 or 2 explosive players. And if you keep Armstrong, then that gives him that kind of out ball as well. Give Kyle Vassell if he stays on, if he's fit for next season.
Well, Armstrong is actually, obviously, he's not been getting played, but it's because he's out of contract. But there was actually reports that he is going to Hearts, so he would be going to Hearts with Derek McInnes, which would be
I think
good.
that'd be good.
I think Armstrong is good, man.
But then does that maybe leave the door open for Forrest to go? And would Neil Lennon, could he persuade one of the Forrest brothers to come with him?
He could take Allen, but he's not taking James, man. No,
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I think
he'll never leave Celtic.
He's got
this far.
I'm kidding. Obviously, I don't think he'll get James, but I think Alan Forrest, who's not really been playing for Hearts, that I think what's going to be real interesting and it's set up nicely, is there's going to be a lot of moving parts in Scottish football this
Think
season.
Shannon will stay now that
Nah,
McInnes has went?
nah.
Do you think he goes to Rangers then? Do you think that's why he's not signed a contract? Because see, honestly, see if like I'm going to be completely honest, I will be genuinely shocked if Shankland even gets an offer for the Championship in England. And I mean bottom, I mean like relegation teams in the bottom in the Championship. I don't think he's quick enough. I don't know. He's a good striker, but I will be shocked if I see him go down south. So I'm like, wait, why is he holding off on a contract with Hearts? Who out with the old firm is bigger than Hearts? Because he's not going to go to Hibs. He's not going to go up to Aberdeen. So
Unless he just wants to get essentially a last payday and maybe move somewhere abroad. Like it's always
would you
so
be
hard
annoyed
to
if
tell.
Rangers signed him?
Sorry?
Would you be annoyed if Rangers signed him?
No, I've been singing his praise even when he wasn't scoring because I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, I say it almost every episode. Growing up as a Rangers fan for our generation, it was bringing in your rivals' best players.
Yeah,
And what you're doing, you're not just strengthening yourself, you're giving yourself more backup options, but you're also weakening every team around you. And right now, Hearts aren't necessarily a direct rival to Rangers. But again, with the new project they've got going on, there's nothing to say that with the way Rangers are going and the way Hearts are going, they're going in opposite directions where you're watching Rangers move backwards. I mean, obviously that can change if a takeover comes, if it happens. But right now, the takeover's all if buts and maybes. We don't know what's happening with that.
yeah,
Whereas Tony Bloom at Hearts is 100% confirmed. It's just a matter of how much money he's going to put in. I think the rumours right now are about just shy of £10 million. That's massive for a Scottish club. Where if they're allowed 10 million just for transfers, we are not actually even thinking about building a new stadium or training facilities. It's just transfers. That is massive, and it allows teams like Hearts, Aberdeen, Hibs, whoever it was that would get that injection of money. It allows them to try and close the gap as long as they can get the transfer business right.
yeah,
So if Rangers can go in and bring in Shankland, who whether people you can only obviously go off this season, but the season before he was the top goal scorer in the league. This season he's been playing a bit deeper. He gets put in his natural position, and all of a sudden he starts scoring goals again. He's a Rangers fan, as far as I think everyone's kind of aware. I could be wrong, but I'm 99% sure he is. That is a Rangers dad take. Oh, he knows the club. He's this, he's that. But it means to me that he would want to move to Rangers, and because he's age, he's going to realise that he doesn't get that opportunity again. So I don't think you'd have to offer him above and beyond wages. I think you could probably come to a reasonable position of saying, look, you're gonna get 20, 30 league games next season. We're in a rebuild. You're gonna have some form of European football. You're gonna play for your boyhood club. It's you can sell it to him.
yeah.
And again, it's like Rangers fans who are complaining about potentially getting Real Madrid coaching staff. You're taking Hearts' captain off them. So you
Aye.
tell anyone else that any other season, and you're saying yes. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's an absolute no-brainer. I would take Shankland at Rangers in a heartbeat.
So you know, I was actually thinking this right, and I know I'm going to get slaughtered for this, and we'll need to we'll need to capture your face when I say this. Do you know who I think Celtic should sign in the summer? I just want you to try and have a guess as to who I'm going to say.
Right,
As
you
a
said
as a third choice striker in Scotland, but they're in Scotland now.
you're going to say that Celtic should go in for Dessers, aren't you?
No, I'm not. They're
No?
Scottish. They're Scottish.
Are you going to say, what's your boy, big ginger boy for
I'm
Simon
Simon
Murray?
Murray. No,
Simon Murray?
Tony what?
What?
Tony what?
Why?
So just think, just bear with me, right?
I'm trying to, mate, but you've lost me already.
So, Tony what, right? So what remember we said that Celtic that Rangers don't have is people who know the club and are experienced, right? So Tony Watt 100% could play up front and do it against Dundee 100%. He's
But he
Scottish.
doesn't, eh?
No,
But
but
he doesn't.
but he's Scottish, and what remember the homegrown thing. So he's Scottish. He knows he's a Celtic fan. He knows what it means to play for Celtic, and a bit of experience.
That's crimp, mate. That is out of we're on episode 10, right? You've done podcasts before. You've met managers, mate. You've been about. That is the most criminal take you've ever had.
I
I
don't think
don't
it's
think Tony, mate. I don't think Tony Watt's a bad player, but coming off a potential treble, your fans would fucking torch the chairman in the
this
stadium.
is the thing as well. It would be cheap. It would be cheap because it would be cheaper than Simon Murray. Would you rather have somebody like Johnny Kenny coming on who's still not scored for Celtic, or somebody like Tony Watt? I'm going to be honest with you. This was a wind up. I just wanted to see your reaction. I just wanted
Yeah,
to see your reaction.
but it's one of those ones where, to be fair, it is fucking mental, and you'll go out and you will sign someone. But I don't think I think the argument of would you prefer, an experienced player or a young player, there is an argument for both sides
Well,
because
I would prefer that a Johnny Kenny, but see, to be fair, I hope a lot of people have not turned off at that shout there because it was a wind up. But I was just thinking of pure mad signings that have happened, and I was like, imagine Celtic, because Celtic are possibly bringing back, see, the Aberdeen goalkeeper Ross Doohan.
I did see that. Aye, I did see that.
Well, it made me think, like, obviously Celtic brought back Jota. I'm not saying they're on the same level, but I'm just like, why? Imagine what's the most random player Celtic could just bring back? And I was like, Tony Watt has been to like fucking 25 million clubs. Imagine they just brought back him.
Mate, it would be a bit mental, but if you just brought back Wanyama as well, but like, fuck it, mate, I'm back in Scotland, man up.
I think you will start seeing that where players do start, like, you'll start maybe seeing a lot more clauses in contracts. Like, see if Rangers did get rid of like, a Dessers, but it's like, but more often that you get buyback clauses, like, oh, if he goes away, but after 3 years we can buy him back for like 8 million. I think you'll definitely see a lot more of that. But
Mate, I think that's kind of what I was going to say just earlier on was I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts this season, like in between clubs. I think you're going to see a few managers swapping places. I mean, you're already seeing it obviously with McInnes, it then leaves the Kilmarnock job vacant. People are still talking about Stephen Robson maybe going down south. If that happened, you're going to, all of a sudden, when you've only got a 12-team league, you're looking at Rangers need a new manager, Kilmarnock, Hearts technically have still not got a manager. There's going to be a lot, and then I've seen recently that it's like the merry-go-round of where Naismith was at Hearts, gets sacked, and now that McInnes is going to Hearts, apparently Naismith is linked with the Kilmarnock job. So
that would be quite good though. I don't think that would be a bad sort of move for Kelly. I think Naismith. I think Hart should have stuck with Naismith if I'm being honest.
well, you've got that again. It could be one of those ones that we say every week. Could be lazy journalism because Naismith grew up playing with Kilmarnock. Rangers brought him. I kind of mean if he went back to Kill at the end of his career, I think he might have. But it's one of those ones where maybe it's just paper talk because he knows the club, which seems to be meaning your go-to phrase is that someone knows the club. But it is kind of the way Scottish football works. You don't really see it as much kind of in England or wherever else, but you do definitely see it up here where fans just naturally get behind a youth player. Like you see, like I noticed. I think Bailey Rice is going to be an incredible talent, and I know we signed him from Motherwell's academy. But see, because he's a youth player, you see it where if Baz Rami makes a mistake, he gets hounded by the stadium. If Bailey Rice makes the exact same mistake, it's all cuddles and it's all unlucky son. And obviously, different factors. Like one of them's homegrown, the other one's a bit younger, blah blah blah. But it's just funny to see how people react to different people just because they quote unquote know or get the club.
I know it's weird. Like see if like a Kieran Tierney right was to score an own goal against Rangers, and then James Forrest was to do the same. James Forrest would get hounded, but that's because James Forrest doesn't kiss the badge after every game. He doesn't grab the megaphone
Aye.
to the fans. Like Kieran Tierney probably is a better player because he's went on to Arsenal. He's a £25 million player, but James Forrest has technically done more for Celtic than Kieran Tierney has, but I guarantee you if both of them scored an own goal in an Old Firm, James Forrest would get hounded. But I think that is because he's not that Kieran Tierney plays up to the fans, but you know what I'm trying to say. He doesn't do stuff like that. But you get that with a lot of teams.
Aye.
But obviously Kieran Tierney's somebody else that's coming in. But that's kind of what we're going to aim for with the rest of this episode. Obviously, just to go through that.
Before we continue, just because we're talking about you know, the kind of homegrown, how people act. We don't ever talk about the English league, but what's your opinion on the Trent situation? Do you think it's right that he's getting booed? Mate, I think it's fucking mental the boy's getting booed. I think it's mental.
Might be careful what we say. We might end up pissing off folk for Liverpool as well, man. My God, Jamie Carragher said that. He was like, don't tell people how they feel about the situation. I'm like, what's the point in punditry? Because punditry is technically telling people how to feel if something happened.
Mate, that's the thing. It's all subjective, and I think it's mental that Jamie Carragher, who spends most of his time talking about Man United, decides to tell people what they can and can't feel about something. But I think the Trent situation, like, it's not his fault. The owners probably did offer him a contract, but at the end of the day, I think any other club in the world understands that Real Madrid and Barcelona are the end goal for any single player growing up, no matter whether you're from Scotland, Brazil, Portugal, Germany. I'd say like 95% of people that have grew up playing football have wanted to play for a Barca or a Madrid.
Yeah.
So, I kind of knock the boy, but just while we're on the subject of playing up to the fans and the difference to how people are treated, I think that's a good example as well to just see maybe how not to treat a homegrown player.
Aye. He's going to live a better life, man. Fucking a better country anyway. I'm sure he'll be enjoying the sun, even though we're enjoying the sun. I was going to say to you, obviously, I know the predictions we've done for Wednesday, like, we don't know if they've come in or not yet. But do you want to still do predictions for Saturday?
I mean, I'm quite happy to do them. It's the final game of the season, so I feel as if we should really wrap it up nicely.
I have obviously already wrote mine down. So last day of the season, there is games on Saturday and on Sunday. So the first game we're going to start off with is the title party, Celtic versus St Mirren.
5-0.
5-0. I've put 4-0. Dundee United versus Aberdeen.
1 each.
Fuck's sake. I've put 1 each. I'm never going to catch it. Hibs versus Rangers.
1 each.
2-1 Hibs. I've put. Sunday games, Kelly versus Hearts. Obviously, Derek McInnes possibly last game against his new club.
2-1 Hearts.
Oh, I've put 2-1 Kelly. I think Derek McInnes will get a wee win. Ross County versus Motherwell.
2-1 County.
So have I. Oh, we're on the same page. We're quite a few here. And then St Johnstone versus Dundee.
Dundee 2-1.
Oh, I've put 2-0 Dundee. Okay, that's good then.
So,
good.
So what we'll probably recommend, and obviously gamble responsibly, is maybe don't be betting on outcomes more. I'd be looking at kind of over 1.5, over 2.5 goals for this weekend if anyone's looking for any poor advice on betting. But I'd say firstly gamble responsibly, and secondly, I would not even be bothered trying to predict winners, although we've tried our best there. But
me and Jordan, remember I was telling you about that bet me and Jordan do? We actually won one of them. We actually won it at the weekend there. So we had like East Kilbride over 2.5, East Fife over 2.5. But basically, whatever it was, it came in. But we cashed out because it was 2-1 Airdrie against Steny. And it was like a 200 and something cash out. And if Steny scored, we'd have lost it. So we just cashed out and took the money. But that would be interesting. You know, the games that have happened last night, because there was Wednesday games, we don't know what's happened yet because we're recording it Wednesday at like 6:15. Obviously, that could change a lot of things. It could take me above Brooklyn. It could take Brooklyn further away. But quite similar regarding the final day of the season. But what we're going to do now to kind of, finish off the rest of the episode is we're just kind of going to say, not predict the league table, but some predictions that we might have for next year. So, for example, this year's player of the year was Maeda. The young player was Lennon Miller. and manager was John McGlynn. So we could just start off with that. Obviously, as of right now, there's not really been any confirmed transfers coming in apart from the likes of like Celtic's like a Kieran Tierney, a Lyle Cameron going from Dundee to Rangers, and McGrath going from Aberdeen to Hibs. So obviously, we're going to probably do this again, maybe the week before the season starts, because Celtic might have brought in an £18 million striker, and I would probably put my money on him being the player of the season or top goal scorer. But we will start off with young player of the season, because I'm going to be honest, if he stays in the league, I'll probably stick with Lennon Miller being young player of the season.
The only thing, I think Lennon Miller goes in the summer. Again, this is difficult as doing it now. I do see Lennon Miller moving on. Can you remember? We should really had this noted down. I'm trying to remember what the age requirement is for young player of the year, because they did change it. So I don't know if it's 21 and under or if it's 22.
I think it is 21.
If he qualifies, Lyle Cameron, but I think he's just too old for it. I think who else? There's no one really. I think if not, I think again this just looks as if I've got a blue paper hat on. But I think Bailey Rice could be in for a good shout if he gets a good run of games.
See, it's hard. Like Celtic haven't really, got many young players that will be in the category, because that basically, I'm pretty sure that's what the argument was as well. Engels actually was nominated for it, but the age that he is now, he's too old for it. So I'm sure he was 20 and then turned 21. But as where you're going to hate me, I think player of the year is going to be Arne Engels.
Mate, you've got to get off this, mate.
What did I say? But did I not say he would get 20 combined goals?
Aye. That was your. Aye, so you're really doubling down, basically, is what you're doing.
I don't back down double then. So I'm going to put Arne Engels as this player.
If he stays, I think Raskin.
Okay.
Again, everyone that's watching this and listening and saying that we're only talking about the kind of Rangers and Celtic players, you've got to remember how these are awarded. In 90% of the time, it's really one of the old firm clubs that win it.
I'm going to put in a random, a kind of random wee shout, and he's been a good player this year for Falkirk. I would put I think that a Calvin Miller might be up there as well. I think he'll be really good next year. Obviously, a young Celtic boy, but he's at Falkirk, so I think he'll be really good as well next year. Calvin Miller. So
don't mind it.
I actually think that an Aberdeen or something should go for him.
Aye.
I've actually got another kind of bold shout. So I'm going to say we're not going to have an Old Firm final at all. So I think either a Celtic or a Rangers won't make the League Cup final, and a Celtic and a Rangers also won't make the Scottish Cup final. So it could either be a Celtic Aberdeen League Cup or a Rangers Aberdeen, or it will be, and then the Scottish Cup final at the exact same. I do think, I don't think there will be a treble, or maybe not even a double next year for any of the Old Firm sides.
So it's funny that you're saying this, right? Because it kind of backs up what I was thinking. I don't know if I've just been talking to you too much. My manager of the year prediction is McInnes if he goes to Hearts. I think if he goes to Hearts, Hearts will get third comfortably and they'll win a cup.
Right, okay. McInnes. My manager of the year is going to be David Gray, actually, on the other side of Edinburgh. And the reason I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be a treble or a double. I've got a sneaky wee feeling Celtic really, really try and push for it in Europe. And I mean really push for it. They could do the league, but I don't believe they could do Europe League. I don't believe they could do it all, but I think there'll be a massive push in Europe for Celtic, and I don't believe they'll get a treble next year, which is crazy. I think I'm pure talking as if a treble is absolutely normal. I'm actually going to say that no promoted teams get relegated as well. So whether two teams come up or it's just Falkirk, I do not believe Falkirk go back down. And if Falkirk and Livy come up, or Falkirk and Thistle, I don't believe any of the two get relegated.
Do you know what? I think Falkirk will stay up. I don't know so much about the playoff route. I don't know if Livy or Thistle would stay in the division. Nah, I think unfortunately Falkirk stay up, but Livy go down.
So who is it I've pissed off? Hibs and basically everybody in Edinburgh. Was it Aberdeen one as well, or was it Dundee? Who have
Mate, I think
I
it,
pissed off?
mate,
Because I'm
Dundee,
about to
because
piss off Dundee.
I think originally you called Dundee United Dundee, so that probably
Yeah.
started it. Then we started slating. Edinburgh's had it, Aberdeen's had it. Mate, I think everyone at this point, we've now moved to the
Because
Scousers as well. So we're slowly ticking off places in the UK that we'll never be able to visit.
that's what I'm going to say. I believe if Dundee don't go down this year, I think they will go down next year. And I also think Dundee United will be in the bottom six. I think they've had that. See, like, because they've just came up, they've had that momentum to kind of keep going. A bit like Falkirk when they won League One and they went right through. Dundee United obviously had a good season coming up after winning the Championship. But I just think next year they'll fall away from it. I'm not saying they'll get relegated, but I think they'll be bottom six next year, Dundee United. And I think Dundee might go down if they stay up this year. They're losing Lyle Cameron straight away. Do you know what I mean? Now it's massive for them.
I'll stick with your Dundee United shout. I'll go for that as well. I think they'll be in danger. I think, to be honest, next season we're probably going to see all the traditional clubs back up there. So you'll have your Old Firms. I think you're going to have both Edinburgh clubs, and you're going to have Aberdeen. So then it becomes extremely difficult for the rest of the pack. And if Stephen Robinson manages to sneak into sixth out of all of that, then I mean he's going to be entitled to a bigger job next season. But I can see the top five being a traditional top five, as it were.
Yeah.
And then
Also,
honestly, I'd like to see Falkirk get that sixth spot if it is how it's going to play out.
that as well.
Which I think John McGlynn, I think he could just do enough where he's going to catch a lot of teams off guard.
See, because I'm going to note this all down because we're going to do this obviously the week before the season starts again. And by that point, Falkirk could have lost John McGlynn. Lennon Miller could have moved to Italy or something. But it'd be quite good if we said it nearly 5 months in advance and something that happened. So another shout that I'm going to say is the league will be won by 10 or more points.
Do you know, I'm just going to say no just because I want a title race. I could not.
I want a title race, I do.
Like we kind of had one last. We kind of had one last year, but we kind of didn't. So it's that way where you just want one where every single game we're going in that matters, because these last few months have been fucking awful, mate. Well, even tonight, I'm going for the sake of going at this point.
So, final sort of free here. Obviously, a wee nice short and sweet episode because, you know, we've just been doing predictions. Plus, you need to go watch an absolute amazing game of football tonight.
Kind of great, mate.
So league winners.
Rangers.
Don't you dare. There's no way you believe that.
Mate, we're bringing Ancelotti. The Ancelotti.
I'm going to say Celtic, obviously. League Cup winners. I'm saying Hibs.
I'm saying Rangers.
Oh, he's got them on for a double for fuck all. Scottish Cup winners.
Hearts.
I'm saying Celtic. Fuck me. You've got Hearts in the bottom six. You've got Rangers winning it. No, but this year you've got Hearts. You've got Rangers winning.
Aye.
You've now went Rangers, Hearts. So, any other free predictions you might want to fling in yourself? Who'll come up next year? Who'll come up?
Mate, I can't even think. I'm too busy trying to get through the playoffs now. Let's wait for the Livy Partick Thistle, and then we can take that one next week. We can maybe look at the Championship a bit deeper.
I'm going to say whoever goes down does not come back up. That's what I'm going to say. But I don't believe St Johnstone would come back up straight away. I think they'll need to kind of suffer a few years in the Championship.
I think St Johnstone are definitely at risk if they go down. They keep going down.
Aye.
I think although their manager's getting a lot of praise, if they go into that championship and lose the first 3 games or don't take a win for the first 3, he's gone.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, some good shouts in there. I'll make sure not to lose this bit of paper, but obviously I'll just watch the episode back if I do lose it. But some good shouts. But the ones that I'm really looking for, I'm already looking forward to the end of next season, because Brooklyn's got Rangers win the league and the League Cup, and then Hearts win the Scottish Cup, and I've got Celtic, Hibs, and then Celtic. Both got Falkirk in the top 6, both got Dundee United in the bottom 6. I've said league to be won by 10 or more points. You've said no. You've said McGuinness manager McGuinness. That's because I want a fucking Guinness to be here. McInnes manager of the year date, and I've put David Gray, and then our young players and player of the year. And I will also put next year. Right now, I'm going to put Adam. He does top goal scorer. Genuinely, I don't think he wants to play Maeda through the left, but I think if Ida had proper striker competition, he'll really step up.
Do you know what I mean? There's no one I can really think of off the top of my head. Right now, I'll say Shankland if he stays in Scotland anyway.
Okay. I think like a Hearts or something will sign a Sam Dalby. That's what I think.
Do you know, my last kind of prediction is, if it is Ancelotti, who will just say hypothetically will be the new manager, seems to be the kind of front runner, it's only going to go one or two ways for me. He's either going to win the league, or he'll be sacked by Christmas. I think there's no in between.
See what I think will happen? I think Rangers might win a title, but then not win it again for the next 4 years, and then win it again, and then not win it.
Well, here's hoping they actually learn from the mistakes for the last time that happened, because we're still trying to pick up the pieces now.
A crazy bold shout would be imagine every Old Firm ended in a draw.
Nah.
Imagine you stuck your money on that, man.
I don't see that happening, but you never know. You never know.
So I'll say as well, I think both teams win a home Old Firm and then lose lose a home one. So I think Rangers might win at home the first one, but then the one in March or February, March, they'll lose at Ibrox. I think they'll be the same for Celtic. Celtic might lose the one at Christmas and then win at the end of the year. But some good predictions, yeah. It was a bit of a different episode. And that sort of is done, obviously. I look forward to next week. As I said, we'll know who's won the sort of predictions table. We'll be talking about the final games of the weekend, knowing the two teams that have been relegated and possibly relegated. And then we'll talk about the Scottish Cup final. And next week is potentially going to be our last show. We might do one more after the final just to talk about it. But that was a good episode. And thanks for your time, Brooklyn, and your roasting hot car again.
Nah, mate, no problem at all. I'm going to get out, get some fresh air, and then hopefully no two skin up in a couple of hours' time.
Okay, well, you enjoy yourself and I'll catch up with you. Okay?
Yeah, catch you later on, mate. See you later.